more of the poker player look. What do you think?
I can't hear. Oh, what's going
What's
on?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, no, I was just saying you got the whole USA thing. I got USA stuff upstairs in my room. I
Uh-huh.
was kind of going for the poker player look today.
Okay.
What do you
I'm
think? Are you buying it? You like
definitely for sure.
There you go. I'm going
But
to
I
take this
think
off though, so you can see my beautiful eyes. What's going on, everybody? My name's Mike Furman. I am back. I am actually the original host of this show, but I've been on a little bit of a hiatus. But now I'm back and better than ever here with my beautiful co-host Jessica Beard.
hello.
Jessica, thank you so much for joining. I am so thrilled that you are here to welcome me back. Uh,
Yes,
to What were you thinking?
of course. It's been a very long time. Bob has been holding down the fort with Devin and a few other people. He
Right.
feels out of place sometimes, but I think he's a very good moderator. But I have missed you and your energy. And I wish I could go on a hiatus. I need to go on one too. I don't
Oh,
know.
all right. Well, that's what the winter is for track
Okay.
for track athletes, right? So maybe come October you'll get a couple months off if you're lucky. But
Yeah.
we are coming to you from Philadelphia, where
Okay.
the Penn Relays are happening this weekend.
Yeah.
Actually started today. You mentioned Devin Allen. He'll be running on Saturday afternoon in the 110 hurdles. He also just signed that NFL contract. He's a wide receiver now. Big football star, Devin Allen. And we've spent a bunch of time with him this week, and we'll talk about him throughout the show a little
Okay.
bit. But we're really here because the Penn Relays. It's a great event. It's one of the events that kicks off the track and field outdoor season, kind of full speed ahead. Drake Relays is happening as well in Iowa. It's great because once these events finally hit the calendar, like, okay, now it's time to get real. It's time to get some work in. And so congratulations, we've made it. We're kicking off the season.
We're here. We're here.
There you go. So tell me a little. Let's catch up a little bit. What have you been up to? What are you doing? You ran last week, I think it was, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's funny. I'm like, I can't recall. Yes. I believe it was last week. I ran. I've been doing a lot of speed work, preparing for my 400-meter opener in May.
Hmm.
And so I moved to DC, so I'm closer to you all. And so just adapting to that and training and more training, trying to make sure I have all the things that I need. When you move to a new place, you're like, I need a massage therapist and I need all the things that I already had
Right.
in Florida. So just making that adaptation and adjusting. So lots of training and traveling. That's been the biggest thing. Bermuda, Mount Sac. I'm going to A&M this weekend for our alumni meet.
Nice.
And yes, and running. So lots of in season things. So
What's the? I guess it's not really like cold at this point. I mean, DC it gets a little bit chilly throughout the later months of the year, but right now it's pretty.
it's
Ooh,
up and down. It's
cool,
up
right?
and down.
Yeah.
It was 82 and then it was 52, then it was 68, then it was 57. So it's still up and down. It's not as bad as Ohio where it's like it's gonna be winter until
Oh yeah.
May.
Oh yeah.
But
That lake
it,
effect snow will get
I
you.
know every time it does make it 10 degrees colder. So
How long has it been since you actually lived in Ohio? And you're from up north. You're right by the lake,
Cleveland.
aren't you?
Yes, by Lake Erie.
Yeah.
So not far at all. I haven't lived at home since my senior year of high school, which was
Right.
2007. So it's that for 15 years. I haven't lived in Cleveland. I've just visited for the holidays, being a college student. So, ooh.
Oh yeah, no, we're past that. It was a beautiful day here in Philadelphia today. It's gonna be 70 something for the rest of the weekend.
Wow, that's great for pin relays because that weather's up and down too. One year we had the full suits. Oh, I was so mad. We never got a chance to wear them. They were all maroon. In the one year we brought them with us for the cold, it was hot.
Oh,
So we didn't even get a chance to wear them. But I used to really want to go to Penn Relays to wear the one piece. I mean, it's literally a bodysuit, cat suit, full length, and never got the opportunity to. But I love Penn Relays. At the time, it's been broken now, but we set the collegiate record there in the 4x2. So that was a great memory. Never had any luck in the 4x4s there, but used to love Penn Relays and just the rivalry, seeing USA versus the world from the collegiate standpoint, and then also being able to compete on the 4x4 there for USA versus the world. I haven't been there since 2014.
Mm,
So it's definitely been a while, but I definitely enjoy Penn Relays. Big goal. Wow, he's moving. Look at his hair.
I know, right?
Big
Look at
goal.
that. Look at that. That's
Always want the
great.
beef patty. Everybody get the beef patty after the meet. It's in one of the concessions at the stadium. It is
Oh,
the
okay.
best.
Pro tip from Jessica Beard: beef patty at the Penn
Beef
Relays.
patty.
I'll
They
get
have
it.
chicken if people want a leaner protein, but get the beef. The spicy, if you don't
Mhm.
like spicy, get the mild.
Doesn't like spicy. Get out of here. You don't like spicy. Come on now. I love Penn Relays, if not just for the entire atmosphere, but the stadium. The
Yes,
the going to one of these really old stadiums. I mean, there's nothing like that kind of a vibe. It's like go to the
yes,
LA Coliseum, right? You're here in Philadelphia. Just those old stadiums just have such a really cool vibe to it. And
yes,
I mean, it's one thing because working there with World's Greatest, I'm executive producer of videos and shoot and direct and whatnot. But I'm not actually competing. When you're competing in a place like that, and you've got tens of thousands of people in the
yes.
stands watching you and rooting you on. I mean, does that sort of an environment, like right here, Franklin Field, does that sort of an environment like really hit you?
It does. It feels like the fans are right there with you. It feels like they can reach out and touch you because they'll say, "Hey, hey, you went to Texas A&M." They're literally talking to you. You're lined up against the wall. It just feels like if they just reach their hand down, they could touch you. And so for me, I just I just love that their fans are close enough where you can interact with them, but also far enough away where you can handle business. And so I love that. And then at the end, when you're done, you go and take the picture with the Penn Relays wheel. And there's high school students or other college athletes or other USA athletes, and you're all, can I get a picture? Sometimes there's different celebrities there, and you're like, oh my
Right.
gosh, you have to take a selfie. And so it's just an awesome atmosphere. Like I said, it just feels so people feel so much closer than they actually are. And
Yeah.
so I mean, they're talking junk too,
I'm
especially when it's
sure.
like Jamaica, USA. And
Look, this is Philadelphia. You can't
yes,
go to a sporting event and not expect someone to not talk trash. Come on,
yes,
this is like
exactly.
the trash talking capital of the
For
world for
sure. So
sports.
lots of motivation.
Yeah,
Lots of motivation.
they
So
threw a snowball at Santa Claus. I mean, I'm sure Jessica Beard can take a couple on the chin. I love that people are shouting out Texas A&M. If I'm
yeah.
out there filming this weekend and someone's like, "Yo, Savannah College of Art and Design in the house," I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, go bees!" That was our mascot. We were the bees.
Really? So y'all are stinging people.
Yeah, I
People
mean,
have allergic reactions.
yeah,
Okay.
it's something. It was because our wallets were getting stung by the tuition of private school. That's what that's all about. I know, but yeah, it's really cool. We were down there earlier, right behind the stadium where all the shakeouts are happening, and
Okay, yeah.
like you mentioned, it's especially today because it's mainly high school and it's all high school and collegiate.
Yes.
Um, I didn't count them, but it felt like there were like maybe like 500 like people warming up, shaking out on the baseball field, like right
Yes,
behind the stadium. It was kind of it was cool to see, but at the same time, it was somewhat of like a cluster. Like there's a ton
yes.
going
It's
on,
crazy.
but the energy was just
Yeah.
insane. It really reminded me of like walking into like a trade show or a Star Trek convention.
Yeah,
Not that I've been to either of those things recently, anyways. But yeah, the energy is just fantastic. You
it
can't,
is.
yeah,
We used to warm up in a park that wasn't too far away, and everyone used to it was just crazy because we're interacting with people walking by, and they're there for the Penn Relays, and they're watching us warm up, and we could just walk to the stadium. That was another thing that was pretty
right,
cool that we got to do. When you normally go to other places. It's not that close where you can really walk, and so it's just an awesome atmosphere. So
Yeah, yeah, and I mean it's real cool. So you'll have like high schoolers coming up wanting that selfie,
yeah,
and it really kind of elevate. Not that you're not already such a star, but it really elevates you to that status, especially because there's not. It's not like there's a ton of Olympic athletes and pro athletes that race here. Between this weekend and also what's happening up in Des Moines at the Drake relays.
yes,
I mean, it's everyone's kind of split all over the place. Plus, people are getting ready to go to American Track League in Puerto Rico, I believe, next week. So yeah, there's a ton going on, but it's always great when the pro athletes come in. Everyone I've seen is making time. I mean, we were talking
yeah,
about Devin Allen before yesterday. It was like what 20 some odd minutes. He was just taking selfies, signing cleats, like signing autographs and stuff. And it doesn't hurt that he's one of the Philadelphia Eagles now, hometown team
yes,
here, but I think that those kids, it was a track team that was asking for the autographs. They would have been asking for them anyway. They're asking for tips. They're about to run their own 110 and they're asking for
for
tips.
sure.
And then of course you see like coach like 50 yards away, like, don't be giving tips to my boy. That's my
Yes. Yeah, it's so hard. I normally try to tell young athletes, like, what is your coach? Do what your coach says, or what is your coach telling you to do, or what do you think between you and your coach? It's always going back to you and your coach because one thing I learned that kids will do, they'll say, well, Devin Allen told me that you got to go to this hurdle like this. And then now as the coach, you're like, oh, how do I you don't want to tell your kid you're not Devin Allen, but you also want to tell them like
Yeah,
do
that
what I tell you to do first before you try to do what Devin Allen tells you to do, because what Devin Allen's telling you to do is really hard.
I'm
So
not. You saying I'm not Devin Allen? Listen, I have been doing tummy Tuesdays for like 2 months straight. All right, it's coming. I'm gonna have as flat of a stomach as he does in like
yes.
2 years. Well,
Okay.
you'll see. You'll see, Jessica. But speaking of Drake relays going on up in
Yes.
Iowa, and I know you've raced up there as well.
Yeah. Not the
This
Drake
is
Relays
actually your
before at Drake Relays as a pro. I love
right.
Des Moines though. I've won nationals there. I've my PBs there, so I'm a big fan. Normally I'm like, are they gonna have the women's 400? I know a couple of people that live there that are awesome people, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Are you coming this year?" I was like, "No, because I can't 400 hurdle this to save my life." So no.
No, no, I'm not into it. I can't 400 hurdles to save my life either. If it makes you feel any better,
It does.
if it makes you, and I got tips from Boogie Johnson himself and Dalila Muhammad, and I still can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I guess I just need to keep on listening to Devin Allen. But yeah, I saw you. I think it was second in a major championship. Was it nationals that happened up in Des Moines?
Yes,
Yeah.
USA's.
You and
I
USA
got
was
second
like
at USA championship 2018.
2014, 18. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's how you know I actually didn't look it up like 2 seconds ago because I was off by 4 years. Like,
And that's okay.
oh, yeah, no, it's okay. But yeah, it's a totally different environment up there. I do like the track, even though it's definitely a much newer facility.
Yes.
And they have that whole indoor warm up space that's like
Yes.
basement. Rather than warming up on a baseball field, it's a great vibe up there
It
though
is
at Drake. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. The coolest thing, so World's Greatest, the first time we ever shot any video whatsoever, the first
Mhm.
thing we ever did for World's Greatest was at Drake Relays in 2018.
Oh, wow.
And so it's kind of near and dear to the heart.
Yeah.
We filmed with Sam Kendricks and Sandy Morris,
Mm.
and that was kind of the introduction to. I think actually Devin Allen won the race that was there.
Okay.
Krauser was there. Ryan Krauser was there. So that was my like first introduction to being. I don't want to say like within the world. No, I'm a part of the world of track and field now. I
That's
can,
right.
yeah,
Yes, you are.
on and off the track, I guess. But yeah, that was our indoctrination to this whole world. So I love it up there in Drake.
Yes.
It's great. So talk to me a little bit about DC.
Yes.
Why would you go from like a place where it doesn't snow to a place where it snows again? Like,
It's a personal choice. I made an agreement with before I started dating my boyfriend that he was like, I want us to live in the same city. I'm like, after a year, I'm like, yeah, yeah, of course. Whatever you think is best. And December came and was like, hey, coming up on a year. And so it
my
helped a
birthday.
little bit that he coached me when my coach was away at the Olympics.
Mm.
And he has his own background in track and field and basketball and football. And so he's done weight programs and he's his high school for 5 years he got state runner up and in his sixth year he finally won the state championship for his high school team and
We did it.
yes, Maury High School. So that's pretty awesome. And now his sister is the head coach of the program, which is awesome. But neither here nor there. It was like, okay, you have a track background, you have knowledge, uh, and you've been a coach for 15, 18 years since you were 21, so almost 19 years now. And so it's
Mm.
like I I did agree to this, which yeah, it's I agreed to it. And so after I graduated in December, I decided to well, not right away, at kind of after USA's. So I'm like, I'm in a groove. Can
Mm.
you, can you can I extend my stay a little longer?
It's like begging the IRS, like, give me another month. Come on.
And so it it kind of helped that I had a familiar foundation with
Sure.
my college coach and my former coach in Florida, and using both of them and speaking to both of them about the programs. And so that helped. And so then I said, okay, I'll be here and just learning how to adjust and adapt, because it's always been like track first, first. Everything else has to wait. And
Mhm.
now I'm learning a balance. And so
So how does that work? I mean, once you make the move, obviously you've got to learn a whole new city. It's a whole different way of life. But then there's also, like you mentioned, the coaching change. There's
yeah,
other support staff, whether it's physio or
yeah,
nutritionist or any of that kind of stuff. There's other athletes potentially as training partners. So
yeah.
what's the actual like move and that transition been like for you? Aside from the boyfriend factor.
It's been pretty difficult.
Yeah.
I'm used to having a training partner and I don't have one. Trying to find a physio, it's something that people say, oh, I do massage, I work, and I'm just like, you're not Mona or you're not Jericho or you're not Christy. Like, you're not these people that I know. You're not the USATF staff. Like, I'm used to somebody who really, not that these people don't know the body. I'm sure that they do, but I'm like, you the pressure, the technique.
They it's not, know the body from just
Yes,
an anatomy standpoint, like,
yes,
like book learning, but it's
yes,
also your body because everyone's
yes,
body is very specific. And it's actually funny that we're talking about this. It wasn't going to be part of the conversation, but let's do it anyway.
yes,
But speaking of Devin Allen, as if I haven't already today, we were with him earlier, and he actually had his physio come into town
yes,
to work on him, and we're sitting there, we're in the room as he's getting worked on, and not only does she know like every muscle and tendon like within his body and
yeah,
what his tendencies are, but it's also a very intimate experience, right?
yes, it
Because I
is.
mean that there's hands going places that
Yes,
you've got to be comfortable with
for
each other,
sure.
right? So yeah, trying to find that, and I think probably, especially for the layman, they don't really understand like
Yes,
how intimate and how that relationship
yes,
works. So yeah, that can't be easy at all to
yes.
find a new one.
So it's been a challenge for sure, and just trying to find a way to make sure that I'm able to, I guess, just find. I feel like I had a system in Florida or I had a system in Texas, and now it's like I'm creating a new system. My strength coach worked with my massage therapist who talks to my coach, and it's just like we're all in an ecosystem here. And now it's, you know, it's just more difficult. It's my coach. I'm trying to get him to talk to my coach back in Florida to make sure we're on the same page, and trying to just do things at a high somewhere to train.
Mm.
I'm used to just having that. We're always going to train at these two places at these times, and now being in a different city, it's like, wow, I'm in a different place where they have school. And at the high schools, if you don't talk to somebody
Oh,
in advance, you can't
well,
practice in facilities during school hours. So now it's like you have to wait and you have to. So it's just even with college, you have. it's a process to have to go through if you want to train on a campus, and especially with COVID and the regulations for some places, like, are you vaccinated? And so it's, which I am gratefully, but it's just a process of trying to find those pieces to the puzzle and put them into place. That way I can see the full picture and how it's going to work.
Right,
So
right. Yeah, the only consistent that you can absolutely count on is that you'll probably be in the weight room at like 5:30 a.m. That's like the only consistent throughout all track training is
yeah.
you're doing your weightlifting in the morning. Do you like that? Do you like doing weightlifting in the morning?
No,
No.
no. It used to be a threat for punishment if we weren't going to be on time for weights after working out.
See, that's where they get you. Coach could only get it early in the morning, so he's pinning it on you that he can only get it early in the morning. But that's just how it is.
Yes, we never had to, thankfully, only because uh, Coach Anderson's philosophy used to just be, if I put it in the morning, y'all are going to roll out of bed.
Mm,
Nobody's going to actually be up, have breakfast, fuel the body. Potential injuries can happen that way. He said some of y'all aren't going to be alert and aware that early.
mhm.
And so he was like, it doesn't make sense to do that. But he said he would if people were going to continue to be late and that kind of thing. So
See, that's why my high school hockey team was never good because the only ice time we could get was at 5:30 in the morning before school. And we're not going to remember anything that you're trying to teach us at 5:30. We're high schoolers. Like, get out of here. That's not going to happen. So, what's next for you? I know that you're training. This is a world championship year. This is a
yes,
super important next 2 months in
yes.
your career and everybody's career within track and field. So, kind of where are you right now? What are you gearing up for in terms of different meets around the country? And I'm just kind of curious to know what you're up to.
Yeah, I'm running. Like I said, this will be my last speed session as far as using a competition to prepare. And then in 2 weeks after, I'll be in Ponce. I'll be running the 400. I'll open up there with a pretty great field. And so I'm excited about that. And I might run another 400 again after that, maybe a couple weeks or a week later. Just depends on how my performance
Mhm.
goes. And then maybe one race after that, and then get ready for USA. So not as much racing as I did last year. I want to say I did maybe 5 or 6 400s
You were
outdoor, but I did
everywhere.
so
You
many
were everywhere.
I know, but I did so many indoor that for me, I don't want to do. Last year indoor I did one. So
Mhm.
it kind of weighed out, I feel like. And so that's just the biggest thing for me, just getting my rhythm, and like I said, just working on my speed. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm a strong finisher, but one of the big things that I'm emphasizing this year is just being in the race from the beginning.
Mhm.
And so that way if I kick, I'm not so far away that it's not going to help me because I'm not in touch with the rest of the runners. And so that's just something that I'm really focused on this year, and so I look forward to that leading into USA's.
Sure, sure. So, what goes into these speed sessions that you have spoken, I guess, highly of? It sounds like you kind of enjoy them.
Yes, I do. It sometimes it's frustrating because as an athlete, the perfectionist in me, I want to get it right the first time,
Sure.
not realizing that I've been doing it a different way for the majority of my career. And so getting it right away isn't always doesn't always happen, and that's okay. And so for me, the biggest thing I've been looking at is block work. So having a better reaction time, having a better push for longer. And so that's just me accelerating my run better, and not, as some people say, going to sleep or getting too comfortable where I'm settling in and
Hmm.
falling out of the race. And so the biggest part for me has been working on blocks and my reaction time, and really just working on my first 200. I feel like the faster I can run open 200, the faster I can go on my first 200 to the 400. So that's been the biggest thing. Like I said, lots of blocks, lots of longer short runs. So those are 80 meters. Lots of those runs where it's still high intensity, but it's also at 400 pace. And just realizing, just because it's 400 pace, it doesn't mean slow. It doesn't mean slow. And so that's just something that I'm really working on to make sure my mind and my body are on the same page.
Okay, okay, I like that. That's great. When you're out there training, because 400, I mean, it is a long race, I guess. Well, for me, it's an eternity. Let's just say that. Hey, I'm gonna hit that sub 60 this year. I promise you that. No, but it's a tough race, and there's a lot of different components to it.
Yeah.
So you are kind of working on the early part of it because you figure if you get that first half down, then the second half will just kind of come along for the ride, and you'll be able to finish.
Yes. For sure. I feel like my finish is one thing that a lot of people see and they've noticed in my races. I know Batman always says if somebody is within, if I have at least 20, 30 meters, then I'm be watch out. That's his biggest thing. He said, I know you're gonna finish
Mhm.
well. And so what I just learned from last year is that it doesn't matter how well I finish if I'm not in the race.
Mhm.
If I'm too far back. So that's the biggest thing. So that's been really my focus and just putting those things together because now it's like I'm going out harder, I'm pushing for longer, and how do I use that energy to propel me and also be able to finish strong as well.
Mhm.
So making sure I distribute my energy properly so I can start faster but also finish just as strong, if not stronger. So
For sure, for sure. So here's a question for you because when and this was all right. You're gonna catch me in a lie before. I did look at a couple of your times before because just hey, look, I haven't been here in a while. I gotta get back up to speed. But when you finished second at USA's, it was something. It was like a 51:05. It was something
Mhm,
like that. And then when you won, I believe it was the following year, right? It
mhm.
was like 7/10 slower than that, but it was still the
Yeah,
championship time.
yeah.
When you're out there, is it just all about you making the best time, or do you actually kind of play a little bit of, who else is in the field with you when trying to establish what that pace is throughout those 50 plus seconds?
For me, I think that we do consider and recognize who's in the race
Mhm.
only because we feel like certain people race a certain way, or we know certain people have a certain strategy that they pretty much stick to. And so that's something to be aware of. So you're not caught off guard by trying to make sure you're running your own strategy because I think that that can happen. You see somebody get out and go, and I believe the first instinct is like, go with them. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
don't do that. Don't not right now. Or wait for your marks and wait and trust your plan and your training. And sometimes you do take that risk. You're like, I'm going. If I die, I die. Like that's where you're at with things.
Oh,
And
I hope
so
not.
um I think it's really important to have your own strategy.
Mhm.
And so, but sometimes for me, I would say last year, I just there's certain people I know I'm like, this person always gonna get out. And so I'm kind of gauging that even based on the lane I'm in. If I know that if I'm in 3 and the person's in 7 is getting out, I'm like, don't be shocked that there's a gap early because this person does that. And for other people, it's like this person doesn't get out, but y'all are really close to each other. So you're probably a little off as far as your pace. And so sometimes you can gauge a little bit when it comes to other people that you're competing against. And sometimes you can't because people do change their strategy, especially I'm thinking about rounds. When it
Mhm.
comes to rounds, people are trying to run as fast as they can while also conserving as much energy as possible. And I know it's like, how is that possible? It's like, I'm trying to run 50 point without really feeling like I ran 50 point. So,
Right, right, right. I mean, and you saw that, like, we're watching trials,
yeah.
Olympic trials in Eugene last year, and when I was watching the 400 hurdles, and I'm just like, oh look, Sydney's walking to the finish line right now. Like, oh, she's conserving her energy, but somehow
Yeah.
still the time is still up there, right? Because she
Yes.
still was able to beat that field, but obviously as it progressed into further and further throughout the heats,
Yes.
that the trot to the finish line gets a little bit less and a little bit less
Yes.
until at the end when it's just a dead heat and you're going all out because you got Sydney knows you got Dalila right here and you got Shamir
Yeah.
right here and
Yes.
it's an absolutely packed field. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting because I would think from my perspective I'm just like I just got to run as absolutely fast as possible. I don't even care who else is in this race. But this is why you're the pro and I'm not. So, yet, there's still time. There's still
There's
time.
still
Look,
time.
all
We
right,
need
to bring it back to Devin
a
Allen, this
production relay.
27-year-old rookie in the NFL is like a 37-year-old track star coming up
Yes, we
to
need a
me. You know what I mean?
production relay. A production relay.
I mean, I've already beat George like countless times, so
Okay.
I don't know what to
We
tell
all
you.
have to be on the same team. Y'all have to go against another production group. It just be production groups against, and then it's like a relay. Maybe I'll do like a 4x1.
Oh, I love that. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna challenge a team of ESPN like Sports Center anchors to just go at it. Gary Stroisky, I want you. I want you. All right, buddy. Yeah, it's just I like it that you actually have to pay attention to moving the field. That's
Yeah.
it's very interesting. I would love to see how fast that would actually be. What do you think? Like for producers who have been doing Tummy Tuesday for a couple of months, what do you think
Okay.
our 4 by time would be?
4x1. I say that y'all can
Four by
run.
four. Come on, this is.
Oh, 4x4. Have y'all been doing anything besides? Have y'all been doing any cardio?
I've been playing racquetball like a maniac for the last
Okay.
3 months.
Okay.
Okay, with
That I'm putting you on
granted,
second base, then.
I have a pulled calf right now. I could totally use physio because
Okay.
I'm not good at racquetball, but I've been playing racquetball. You see how it goes?
I'm trying to tell that 400 is a different beast, but then I feel like pride is involved and on the line, and you're like, I'm not letting this person beat me, and you're also like, my team needs me. I would say,
There you go, Bob. I do appreciate a fun tweet. I like there was the last tweet, the serious tweet that Bob pulled up. Was what was it from the Grand Prix, from New Balance Grand Prix,
yeah,
where, with you 52.8, something like
yeah.
that. I'm just kind of curious, especially in this sort of a year, what was the approach to your indoor season? What are you actually trying to get out of it? Kind of, I know we're a few months back talking about this now, but I'm just kind of curious, like how you approach this year from the indoor perspective.
Things kind of just I feel I don't want to say I rolled the dice, but literally I had only planned to do maybe 2 indoor meets.
Mm,
And so it kind of worked out as hey, and it was gonna be like a 300 and then like a 200 and a couple of 4x4s. And it was just like a lane opened up at Melrose. Do you want to go? And I was like, wow, I haven't been to the Armory since I was in
Honorary.
college,
Nice.
literally like 10, 11 years. And so I was like, sure, I'll go. And I ended up getting second. And then New Balance was the week after. And it's like, I normally run at the New Balance meet each year, whether it's a 3 or 400. And so I said, well, I said, I don't know which one I want to run. So I said 300, 400, 300. And then once I was like 300, I was like, it's too late. You said 4. So I was like, okay, I'll run the 4. That's fine. I'm okay with that. And so I ran there and I won. And so it was like, okay, how should I look at this indoor season? And my coach and I, we decided I would just run one more race.
Right.
And at first he was like, it's a meet in Chicago, you should go there. And I'm like, well, if I'm gonna go big, I want to go real big, and I'd
I,
rather just go to USA's. And so I prepped for USA's. I knew it would be just back to back days, which is fine with me. I normally get better with rounds. And I was like, wow, I went from 52.9 to 52.0 in a month. Yeah, about a month,
that's
if
not
not
bad.
less. And so it's really, I remember my best year, I only ran, not only, but it was a USA Championships and I ran 52.2 or something. And so I was like, wow. So it just so happened that I just used the indoor season to my advantage, and I didn't
Mhm.
think it would go how it did, and I didn't think I would run so many 400s. And I never initially considered this is an indoor world championship year. Let's go for the team, but it ended up working out that way after seeing how I was running in some of the open 400s at the other meets. And so really I feel like indoor has just really prep me for the outdoor season where I'm not going to run as many 400s outdoor because I ran 7 indoor,
Right.
and I did a lot of traveling that I didn't intend on doing, and so I used it pretty much as a conditioning and as a base to prepare me for the outdoor season, where normally you do a lot of training as a pro and that prepares you for the meets. This year indoor really prepared me for the outdoor season and the meets that are to come. And so since I didn't get to sprint as much, like I said, I normally last year I did lots of threes, 200s. I'm
Right.
doing those now. So
Okay. So how does fatigue play a factor in your race, especially when you're in an event with rounds? Because, like, you know, it makes sense to me when I hear about like a soccer player running around for 90 minutes and then being tired and needing an ice bath and all this kind of stuff versus a 50-second race.
yes.
Obviously, you're going all out,
Yeah.
but I'm just kind of curious, what is the fatigue? What is the rehabilitation from that like after running either one race or running rounds on multiple days?
I think the biggest thing as far as trying to recover and trying to get through the rounds is, like I said earlier, just the distribution of energy and
Mhm.
making sure, for me that means, for the most part and most of the time, setting up my race almost like I would if I was running it for the final, but you come off some, like you said, you mentioned Sydney earlier and how it looked like she was you still set it up the same way.
Mhm.
You And because of that, you're able to make adjustments towards the end where you say, I just keep my form. I just keep stepping down. I don't have to pump my arms as hard, and I don't have to apply as much force to the ground. I can just move forward in that direction. And so that, for me, it's making sure you cool down properly. I feel like sometimes you're like, I just want to get a massage. And I'm glad that the therapists are like, did you cool down? Did you do something else before you come in and see me? So making sure you cool down, whether that's jogging, whether that's hurdle mobility, whether that's drills, then making sure what's the other thing? Making sure if you do see physio, I don't normally take lots of ice baths just because people's bodies respond differently to them. But when I do have rounds, that is an important part of recovery after warming down and possibly seeing physios, to take the ice bath and then Normatec boots or whatever it is that might be necessary. So that's really important, making sure you distribute your energy properly. And sometimes you don't realize how much energy you have. You get to the second round and you almost run a PB and was like, that felt easy. It's like, that's my training. That's those declining 300s that coach prepared us for with little rest. So, or that's broken runs that coach has prepared us for with very little rest. And so you just keep finding out that your fitness and how you get through your workouts and training, how that just translates and goes over into what you're doing. So,
See, if there's any kids who are watching this right now in high school, they're going to be like, "Well, Coach, Jessica Beard said." After listening to you right there, that's some great pro tips there. Now, let me tell you how I respond to an ice bath. While we're
okay.
on the topic, I didn't like it. I was maybe in there for like what, 4 minutes. So we're this is in Eugene, and there was an ice bath that was happening, and it was Nina Haley was there. She had an ice bath. We helped her draw one up after training, and afterwards she was like, "I dare you to get in," and I was just like, "Okay," because I'm not one to turn down a dare. I'm just like, she sat in there for 20 minutes. How bad could it be? And oh my goodness, if you have not experienced that, let me tell you,
It's overrated.
um, as our cinematographer George will tell you, you come out of there feeling like a 5-year-old, like you are young and energetic again after that. I'll tell you, to they say sit in the ice bath until you can't feel anything, and that's when it actually starts to work. It was a long road to get to that I don't feel anything moment, and then I was just like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. You like the ice bath though, do you? No, see, you don't like the ice bath either.
No,
No.
I yell and scream. I always ask for a towel so I can bite it. So, um, yeah,
Oh, see, the cats are here all
that
episode
cat is
long.
angry. That cat is angry.
Well, you would be too if you were in an ice bath. You
For
you are.
sure.
You're on
For
the top.
sure.
All right. I got it. I got it. Here's one race, one marathon that perhaps I can go head to head against you. We're gonna
Yes.
do dueling ice baths and see who can last longer. I think
Okay.
that's the I think
Okay.
that's the challenge.
It has to be the same amount of ice. How many 20-pound bags are you putting in there?
I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, and we'll do it in steel tubs. That looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm not getting that deep in, neck down. I'm like waist down. I mean, my stomach doesn't need an ice bath.
Oh, see, I thought the best part, the part that felt the best for me was kind of the back and shoulders getting out of there. And I did this when I was done. This was my move. No, not so. You're just like just a
Well,
little bit on the
I
legs.
don't
That's all
know.
I
I
do.
didn't know people get in that deep. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
bring that picture up again. I want to see that. That was those guys. I'm not going to go up against because that was pretty impressive. If I do say.
Yeah, and still ice in there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, there was Sam Kendricks was doing an ice bath one time
Mhm.
up to here. He actually got his chin underneath because he wanted his neck to be under the water as well. I just, and then he went into a hot tub and back and forth like 4 times. And
Oh yeah, the contrast. They said that's really good for the body,
yeah.
even better than the
They
hot.
can keep saying it, but I'm not actually gonna do it. Yeah. So, this was a very fun conversation. It's a very rare occasion that there's only two people on the
I
show,
know.
but
I
I have to
know.
say, we did a damn good job. We kept it going. There were no awkward pauses, which is
None.
more than I can say for when Devin Allen's on the show, for example. Shout out Devin. I just got to keep on mentioning his name because we're in
Yes.
Philadelphia. We're in his new
I know.
hometown.
Are you an Eagles fan now?
I am not an Eagles fan. I will not be an Eagles fan any more than now that you're in DC. You're not going to what is it, Commodores? That's the new team name there. The
You
Commodores
chose the
game.
names.
Although maybe when the Eagles play the Commodores, we'll get some tickets from Devin.
I know. Devin needs to let us know when he's in town.
All right. Make your pitch right now for 2 tickets for Mike and Jessica VIP all day.
Thanks, Devin.
You're just thanking it because it's gonna happen. I love it.
Thank you.
Love it. I love it. Hey, what are co-hosts for, right? Other than co-hosting podcasts. But before hey, the cats are just we just can't get rid of them. The NFL draft is currently going on right now. And I was like, okay, Eagles, please don't select another wide receiver. We don't need that sort of headache for our boy. And they just drafted, and it was a defensive tackle. So here we go.
That's Devin's spot. Go,
Uh,
Devin.
I know, no, you can't take it. I honestly, I'm waiting for there to be lines in the sports books for rookie of the year. No matter what it is for Devin Allen, I'll throw 50 on it. Why
Yeah.
not? Why not? And then it'll probably pay like $1 million because I don't think anyone's gonna give him a chance in hell.
And it's the come up, Devin. It's the come
Mhm,
up.
mhm.
So, you
I've
know,
got. Look, I've been watching this guy real closely for the last 3 days. He's got it.
yes,
No questions asked.
yes.
He's got it. Tell us real quick, Jessica Beard, where can people find you on social media? Where can they follow you? Where can they learn about this Tummy Tuesday thing I keep talking about? Tell us.
Yes, they can follow me on Instagram at Rain the number two. So REIGN the number two. On Twitter at Run to Rain. They can find Tummy Tuesday at onelapforgo.com.
Mhm.
And Facebook is just my name, Jessica Beard. I have a fan page that they can follow as well if they'd like. Really, you can just follow me on IG. That's where I'm the most active. And so, or on Twitter, we can talk about different things. I was going to ask people today about how long do they cook their chicken wings in the air fryer? And I
18
think
minutes at 375.
okay, so I'm not gonna be sick then later because I was just very curious because it started at 40 minutes at 370 and it got all the way down to 15 minutes. And I
An
was like,
air
this is
fryer is
warm.
40 minutes. What do you do? So here's the trick though. Here's the trick. If you're gonna do the 18 minutes at 375, Hey, welcome. Now you're talking to the pro. This is my wheelhouse now. All right, let's go. You got to just make sure they can't be touching when you put them
Yeah,
in the basket. The wings got to be on a single layer,
yeah,
right? And they can't be touching. So the air has got to circulate all around them.
yeah,
You put them at the 375, and they can't be frozen. If they're
yeah.
frozen, you won't know what
No.
to do. You put them in there. You can batter them, with a little bit of the flour and
Mhm.
spray with a little of the olive oil or the canola oil, whatever's in the can, and then you put it in there, and you got 18 minutes at 375, and it'll come out just absolute
Okay.
perfection.
Cause
Yeah.
so mine cooked for 25 minutes at 370, but I
Mm.
didn't know if it needed the other 15 minutes or not. And I was like, I don't think it needs
Nah.
40. I was like, that's so many.
Now, if you flip halfway through,
Mhm.
which some people will tell you to do, I tend to be a flipper. You
Yeah.
can let it go to 20 because you're letting some heat
Okay.
out when you do the whole flippage. So you can let it go to 20. But anything more than that, you're going to start drying out your wings,
Yeah, which
and you don't
is
want that. Nobody wants dry wings.
no.
How spicy do you get them? You like spicy wings?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, do you? Okay. Next time I see you, I actually have my other podcast has a line of hot sauces.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, and they're really good on wings, especially the banana flavored hot sauce.
Really?
Banana, you got no idea what you just got yourself into. The chicken wing conversation
Okay.
is
Very
my
good.
wheelhouse. I
Okay.
could look. We could keep the show going on. Do you want to do another 45 minutes just talking about chicken wings? I am your guy.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay.
But the air fryer, it's an integral part of Tummy Tuesday. You cannot
Yes.
be deep frying your wings and partaking in the Tummy Tuesday. It
No,
doesn't.
it's gonna be difficult.
It
It's
doesn't.
gonna
It
be
doesn't work. Yeah, the first 5 days of Tummy Tuesday are really easy, but then
yes.
it builds.
It's not, yeah.
At first I was just like, what did I sign up for? I could do this. And then it's just like the last day, it's like, you have 90 reps, like 90 reps to do and drink water. I'm like, no water. The Achilles heel. I never drink enough water.
Yes, people
64
believe.
ounces. Um, and yeah, 18 minutes at 375.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
If you're doing fish and chips, same 18 minutes, bring it down to 360.
Oh,
And
okay.
only use cod and make sure you pat it dry first.
Okay.
I live with my air fryer, and I are like we're really
That's
really good
that's the
friends.
friends.
I got a great jalapeno poppers recipe
Okay.
for there with it. You use
Yeah.
Neufchâtel cheese instead of cream
Okay.
cheese. It's like a
Oh,
third
wow.
of fat. It's really good.
Okay.
We'll
Well, this is
save this for the next episode.
okay. Yes.
We'll
Okay.
save
The
this when there's
foodies.
because
Yes.
there'll be another guest with us that I can actually impress with my culinary expertise. You know what athlete is a really good cook?
Who? Darrell.
I was gonna say Devin Allen, but you mean Big
Oh,
Homie?
yes.
Yeah, Big Homie can cook. Big Homie
Yes,
can
he
cook.
can.
Yeah,
So we both have a stuffed shell recipe. So he's gonna have to come on and mine's a cream sauce and his is a red sauce, but it looks so good. So yeah,
I
become
I think you're pitching to me a new show, aren't you?
yeah, for
All
sure.
right, this is what we'll have to do this in Eugene when everybody's there this later on this year. We're gonna have to put the little cook off.
Yes,
Little
for
practice.
sure.
I like that. But in the meantime,
Okay.
everybody follow Jessica. She told you where to find her before. Watch her racing this season. Sky's the limit. I have no pressure. I got high expectations. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
I'm just
I
saying.
appreciate high expectations because I
There
have
you go. There you go. And I appreciate you taking your time this evening to speak with me. I always love talking with you. Yeah.
yeah.
And I've said it before. I'm on record on other shows, so I'm not just blowing smoke. Best smile in track and field, right?
Thank you.
Right here. Yeah, look at it. Come on.
I'm glad you're back.
Come
I'm
on. Hey, you're like,
glad.
oh, this guy's going to
Right.
compliment me. He should come back every episode. Yeah, all right. And everyone else who's watching, please follow World's Greatest because
Yeah.
not only are we doing this show, we also have a ton of original content. We may or may not be filming a new show with a track star who's playing professional football, but I'm not going to give you his name because I don't want to spoil anything. But we may be shooting some new content, and you can find all of that on our YouTube, youtube.com/World's Greatest. You can follow us on Instagram at World's Greatest Team and on Twitter at World's Greatest, except remove all the vowels because the person who had at World's Greatest, it hadn't been used in like 20 years and she had like 3 tweets and 2 followers and they still wouldn't give us the account. So we had to do at World's Greatest with no vowels. That's at WRLDSGRTST.
Very good.
And at World's Greatest Team on Facebook as well. That's it. That's where you can find. Are we anywhere else? I think we have a TikTok account. We haven't used it. We haven't. Last we only used it like 1 week in Fayetteville indoors last year. But there's some good stuff with I got Shamir doing some dancing. Grant
Okay.
Holloway dressed as a
Yeah.
grandpa. We call him Gramp Holloway or Grandpa. I forget exactly what it was. Anyway, I guess follow us on TikTok. We'll put some new
Yes.
content out there soon. Jessica, absolutely love you. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
taking the
having
time, and
me.
I will talk to you later.
Yes. Peace.
Bye.